Guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Gabriel Antoniazzi. No Peter with us today, but thankfully we've got Tam McManus, Charlie Adam, and the ever-present Alan Rough joining us to talk through all things Scotland as their Nations League campaign gets underway against Israel this evening. Thank you to the three of you for joining me, and thank you to everyone at home, and welcome. Don't forget you can comment on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. We'll read out your best comments and pose them to the panel. A few other things we'll talk about as well today. Last night's Nations League games at Ireland and Wales beginning their campaigns. Look ahead to tonight's, as well as any transfer business across the country. But there's nowhere else to start than tonight at Hampden Park. As I said, Scotland will begin their campaign against Israel a month before they take on Israel again in the Euro 2020 playoff semi-final. Here we can have a look at what tonight's got in store for us. Scotland take on Israel in tonight's Nations League opener at Hampden Park, but it's no dry run for next month's Euro 2020 playoff semi-final. Steve Clarke's side haven't played in 10 months. There's been no international football at all, but they are looking to carry on the momentum that began to build at the end of the qualifying campaign. They won their final 3 matches. In terms of the starting lineup, Clarke's likely to go with his favoured 4-3-3 formation. The two interesting points are at centre-half, where Arsenal star Kieran Tierney is likely to fit in, as well as at number 9. Now, with several call-offs, there could be a starting place for Lyndon Dykes. He, of course, chose Scotland ahead of Australia, but Clarke also likes the look of Ollie Burke.
Ollie Burke's looked very sharp. Callum Patterson came in late as a replacement, and it's the first time I've worked up close with Callum, and he's done well for me. So those 3 boys, whichever one I pick up front, will do a good job for the team.
Captain Andy Robertson is the first name on the team sheet, and he's hoping to use his experience of ending a long wait down in Liverpool to do the same for his national team. He's not worried about giving anything away ahead of next month's game, and he thinks tonight's result will have no bearing on the fixture in October.
I do genuinely believe that it will have, whatever happens tomorrow night will have no bearing on what happens next month. It's a semi-final, it'll be a one-off game, so I think positive or negative result tomorrow, I don't think it will have much bearing. But of course, playing against a new manager, maybe a new system, new personnel, whatever, it will give us a little insight on who plays and things like that.
Let's talk about the Israelis then, who won only 1 of their last 7 matches and recently changed manager. There'll be several familiar faces in the lineup. Hatem Abdelhamid, Nir Biton and Ophir Marciano are all Premiership regulars. Now, Scotland did win here at Hampden back in the inaugural 2018 Nations League, 3-2, James Forrest hat-trick, but they lost over in Haifa 2-1 and should be wary of the attacking threat that the Israelis pose. Monus de Boer, Eren Zahavi and Sean Weissman all know how to find the back of the net. So everyone knows it's not the big one this evening, but it is crucial that winning becomes a habit. That's the message from Steve Clarke. He wants to carry momentum, starting with 3 points tonight, heading into next month's Euro 2020 semi-final. So yeah, the big one is next month, as we all know, but I want to start with 3 points. First of all, I'm going to come to you, Charlie Adam, former Scotland international. How important is tonight's game?
I think it's very important. I think it sets a tempo, it sets a statement for what they're going to have next month, and also gives us an opportunity to look at what they're going to go with. They'll have obviously new manager, so they might have a different formation, different system. And I definitely believe that if you know that you can get your upper hand this month and get a win, then it'll take the confidence into the next game, and then going into the Israel game next month.
How do you approach it tactics-wise, Charlie? Will Clarke be thinking at all, perhaps I need to keep my cards close to my chest, I don't want to give too much away for the big one in a month's time, because they might be able to work this out?
No, I think we just go gung-ho for it. I think we have to go and get after them, be on the front foot, show a bit of, good dynamics. Forrest up high, Christie, would like to see play, and then 3 lads in midfield to control it. So I'm all for going for it tonight, getting a good positive result, get a good feeling about it in the media, around the group, and look forward to to the challenge again against the Czech Republic, and then going for Israel next month again.
Yeah, that's the message we've had from Steve Clarke all week. Anyway, a few shout-outs quickly. Nicky Twig, afternoon, Gavin and boys. Yeah, Roughie, I've got a bone to pick with you there. Gavin, I think you called me last week, 2 weeks ago. What was that all about?
I'm sorry, it's the turn to Gav now. I forget the
Gav,
Gav.
right.
Gav.
Gav's better than Gavin, I'll take that.
Yeah.
A few others. Stuart Massey, Reggie Tay, Darren Hope, good afternoon to you all. Don't forget to send in your lineups. We're going to get them from all of the boys in a minute, but we'll just stay on the game itself. Tam, I'm going to come to you. What do you expect from this evening?
I think it'll be a tough game. I think Israel are a good side. I think we've obviously beaten them 3-2, but as you mentioned earlier, we lost away from home in Haifa 2-1, and I think we're pretty evenly matched teams. That's why, I know a lot of people are saying play Armstrong, play Forrest, play Christie. I think they've got to have a certain degree of respect for Israel. You can't just play all these attacking players. I think you've got to have a structure and a balance about the team to go and get the victory. And, it's certainly not a San Marino or a Latvia we're playing tonight. It's a decent side. De Boer, who you mentioned, has went for, I think, 25 million in his last 2 transfers as a striker. So they're a decent outfit. They've got a new manager. So it'll be a tough game, Gabs. And hopefully, as Charlie said, winning breeds confidence. We can go out and get a good victory.
Yeah, we'll look at Israel's lineup in a minute. But Roughie, do you agree with Charlie where he says that we can get the upper hand, take momentum into next month's game, or do you agree with Andy Robertson, Scotland captain, who says it won't have a bearing at all? What do you think, Roughie?
Oh no, it's got to have a bearing. If you go into a game and you beat them quite convincingly, it gives them something to think about. They're coming back again. And they're going to know the players that possibly have really turned it on, and that would give you a worry if it's the opposition that you're up against. So no, I think it's important that they go away talking about the McGinns, they go away talking about Forrest, they go away talking about Dykes, the couple of goals he scored. So when they come back again, it puts a wee bit of fear into them, and I think it's always important that you get a win.
Mm-hmm. Winning is a habit, isn't it? A few more shout-outs. Hi to Stevie, George Donaldson, Alison Carroll, favourite of the show. Thank you all for joining us. We're getting quite a few predictions coming in already. Stevie Tops says 2-1 Israel. We're going to get onto our predictions in a bit. Let's talk about the Scotland lineup. Tam, what was that? You said you don't think you should cram it all in with attacking players. You think it's important to keep a balance, do you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got to give a little bit of respect to Israel. My team. Listen, I posted it on Twitter the other day. I was getting slaughtered.
Let's have a look at it now.
Obviously, I would play McTominay as the centre one at the back. I'd just like to see McTominay as a spare man in a 3. I think he's got all the attributes to play there. Plus, we're very strong in the middle of the park. Listen, is James Forrest a better player than Stephen O'Donnell? Yes, he is. Is Armstrong a better player than Ryan Jack? Yeah, probably is. Yeah, yes, he is. But I think you've got to have a bit of respect. You've got to have Ryan Jack in there to sit and anchor it in front of the back 3. And you've got to have 2 full-backs, who are defensive-minded as well, and O'Donnell and Roberts. Then you've got plenty of attacking threats, McGinn playing behind Christie and Dykes. So that would be my team. It's a good balance about it. If we were playing San Marino, yes, I would play James Forrest and I would play Armstrong and I would just go all out attack. But I think you've got to have a little bit, in the back of your mind that Israel are a decent side and they can hurt you on the counter-attack.
So you're almost going for a 5-3-2 with 2 defensive fullbacks playing out wide instead of the attacking one. Let's have a look at Charlie's team. Charlie, I think you've gone for a back 4 instead of a back 5. Now, what's your thinking behind this?
I just think we look more solid there. Tierney will play centre back. Robertson, I think, is better with someone playing in front of him, like when he plays at Liverpool. He's got Mane in front of him where he can go and overlap. And he's obviously come out himself and said that he doesn't like playing in a 3. He likes to have someone in front of him. Jack picks himself because I think he's been excellent for Rangers in the last 18 months in Europe and playing in the SPL. So I think he deserves to play. McGregor been phenomenal for Celtic. Runs the show for them. McGinn's an international player, scored a hat-trick not so long ago. The worry about McGinn is how fit he is. I know he played at the end of the season, but it was only the last couple of games he started to get his sharpness up. I prefer to play Christie on the left and Forrest on the right. Christie will come in and want to play in the pockets, a bit of imagination. great on the ball, offers good scoring form as well, and give Lyndon Dykes an opportunity. You brought him in the squad. He's just moved for 2 million. His confidence must be high. So let's have a go and see if he's good enough to play at the national level. It's if you think about it, the next month is the biggest game. But if they get an opportunity to give him a game tonight, then throw him in there and see what the lad can do.
It'll be interesting to see if he does go with Dykes. A few comments on here. Paul Wallace wants Scotland 3-0 but can see a 0-0. Stuart Massey says, Tam, that's a crazy lineup. 5 at the back, not going down well, Tam. So Charlie, I think your team is similar to what Steve Clarke will go with. He's played 8 games so far as manager, back 4 every time, usually in the 4-3-3, 4-5-1 formation. The big calls that I see happening are who partners Tierney at centre-half, whether it's Cooper or McKenna or even Gallagher of Motherwell. One in midfield as well, Jack or Armstrong, or even McTominay to partner McGinn and McGregor, who we all know play. And Dykes up top, perhaps ahead of Ollie Burke. Roughie, who would you go for? Who have you gone for up top, Dykes or Burke?
Well, that was interesting, the interview you had there with Clarke. He obviously talked up Ollie Burke, and sometimes we all want to pick a side, that we think, but the manager's been watching these guys since they've met up. I don't know how many days that is, but they'll play wee practice games, and sometimes somebody might impress that we don't see, and Ollie Burke might be one of them. He's obviously got more experience than Dykes, but I would like to see Dykes getting a chance. I've went for 3 at the back because of, everybody's talking about the boy Cooper at Leeds. I've just got promoted and everything. McKenna, there's still a wee question mark against him, at international level. Don't have a problem with Tierney. I know they're going to play with, well, on all accounts, they're going to play with 1 up front with 2 wide guys. So I would play Forrest wide and I'd play Robertson wide to get into their half, and make sure that their wide men are defending more than they're going forward. And if you look at Robertson, Liverpool, Robertson starts on the halfway line. I know he's a fullback, but if you watch him, he's on the halfway line as soon as Liverpool have got the ball. So I don't think it should be a problem for him going forward. And McTominay just looks a big central guy who can dictate things. McGinn, for me, and McGregor are the engine. And as Charlie said there, I'd just give Christie a free roll. Just go where the ball is, make himself available, and then just try and pick everything off of Dykes. I think it'll be a really tight game. I was at the game, the 3-2 game at Hampden. We were very, very fortunate to get that win because David Marshall had an unbelievable save with a minute to go that looked as if it was going to be a draw. So the goalkeeping side, the only reason I picked McLaughlin is because he's been playing. He's had 5 shutouts. He must be absolutely buzzing. But again, if David Marshall has showed at the training that he is up for it, then I wouldn't have a problem which of the two it is. So I think it'll be a tight game, and let's hope we can win it.
Yeah, the goalkeeper one's an interesting dilemma. Obviously, McLaughlin not conceded a goal so far in the league, but I think he will stick with Marshall. Quite loyal to his players, and Marshall has always been solid for Scotland and had an impressive campaign last year in the Championship. Just going back to the forwards, Tam, what do you reckon with Dykes and Burke? It's probably a toss-up to be who'll be the number 9. Obviously, Dykes is more of the traditional forward, can bring others into play, but could Burke have shown something in training that we don't see? We know how athletic he is. He can get in behind. He's pacey, and he's picked him twice. He's never picked a striker more than he has picked Burke for Scotland. Tam, what do you think?
Yep, and I think Burke scored the winner against, was it Cyprus in Stevie's first game, the last minute of the game. So, listen, he's obviously a favourite of Stevie Clarke's. I prefer Ollie Burke away from home. When you're playing against teams that are coming onto you, you can play in the counter-attack. I think Israel will come in, they'll sit in, they'll be tight, they'll be hard to break down, and I just feel as if you need a target, you need somebody who can hold it up, you need somebody you can bounce the ball off of, and I think Dykes is better in that role than a Burke. I think Burke's strength is obviously running onto the ball, running in behind, running the channels. He's quick, he's powerful. And maybe bring him on with maybe 20 minutes to go when the game gets stretched. So I would rather agree with Charlie. I'd rather play Dykes. I think he deserves a chance. He's just went for a couple of £1 million, and he'll be on a high just now. And give him an opportunity. He could have chosen Australia. You're bringing him into the squad. Play him. You know, there's bigger games obviously to come next month, but give him an opportunity tonight and see how he does.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that he will be involved somehow. Obviously, if he doesn't play, he could still play for Australia. Let's have a look at what Steve Clarke's predicted lineup is from us here at PLZ. We do think he'll go with that favoured 4-3-3 formation. We reckon that he will play Cooper with Tierney in defence, McTominay just pipping Ryan Jack in the middle, McGregor and McGinn, Forrest and Christie out wide, and then Burke through the middle. That's just going off his previous choices and what he said in press conferences. Palmer at right back as well, Sheffield Wednesday star. He's been there for 11 years now, Palmer. So, yeah, very impressive as well. It will be interesting to see. We'll find out. Yeah, what's that, Tam?
I'm looking at that squad there, that team that's been picked. There's 7 guys that are playing in England that have not kicked a ball. You know, and I think that's a problem? Big thing. You know, yeah, I think that's a problem. I think Roughie mentioned earlier about McLaughlin. McLaughlin's been playing. I think you've got to play as many players that's been playing. That's got game time. Ryan Jack, guys like that. They've got 5-6 games under the belt rather than guys that are in pre-season. So I think you've got. I think Steve will look at. I don't think you can play 7 guys or 8 guys that have not kicked the ball yet. That's just my opinion. Don't know if the guys agree.
Yeah, Charlie, what do you think?
No, I do agree with you. I think half your team will be thinking about, you know, fitness-wise, but also you're hoping that the lads, you know, they have had a couple of weeks pre-season, and, you know, you're just hoping they can get through this game. But, you know, like Tam said, it is a worry that, you know, 7 of the lads have not kicked the ball for a bit. McTominay's not kicked the ball for a while, obviously with the FA Cup and things like that. So I would prefer a little bit more of the Scottish-based lads in the team, but you know, he's got to go. He's obviously seen them fitness-wise and where they are at training, but it'll be an interesting one where we actually go tonight.
Yeah, it's such a peculiar situation. I did ask that to Andy Robertson yesterday. I said, is it a big difference? Have you seen anything on the training ground in terms of the Scottish-based boys and the ones down south? But he said no, everyone seems fully fit. Of course, Robertson was playing in the Community Shield in the loss to Arsenal last week, but he believes that everyone is ready to go. So we'll just have to wait and see if Steve Clarke does as well. We'll find out about 6:45. Let's hear it, Tam. Come on, what have you got this time?
Did you ask Andy personally?
At the press conference. Yeah.
That's by the way, you're coming up in the world now, aren't you? Yeah.
Oh,
Liverpool.
Trying.
You're doing well, Gav.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. Honestly, that gets me every time. Right, come on, moving on. Let's leave the Gavin chat. I want to speak about Israel. We know that they're good going forward. They've got plenty of strikers that can cause damage. Roughie, you were saying back in the game when it was 3-2, it was nearly 3-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed with them for the whole 90 minutes. You know, I don't think we were any better than them. I thought their midfield were excellent. Fullbacks got forward. Big boy, Tam will know, I've seen the big boy Marciano more than me. He's either fantastic or he's doing something silly. So that might be something we could get something out of there. You know, on his day, he's just a fantastic shot stopper. So no, I think they're not a bad side. But I've said it all along. I think no fans in the stadium is a bonus for Israel. It's a massive bonus that they're going to be out there under no pressure whatsoever. Nobody breathing down their neck. Empty stadium. It'll be up to us to try and get to grips with the sort of the scenario. You know, and I think it'll be a big play that, you know, who can handle the occasion.
Charlie, which way do you see it going? Robertson said yesterday, when I was speaking to him, Tam, that the team need to generate their own atmosphere. You know, it's obviously going to be so hard at the Tartan Army.
No, it is obviously going to be hard, but I also think if things are going badly, it can help that there's no fans there for the Scotland players. You know, you know, when you do get a bit of criticism, if it doesn't go so bad, it doesn't go so well, so players react differently. But I just think Scotland need to be on the front foot and gung ho, you know, go for them. And when they get the see a smell a bit of blood, they have to take the chances and go for it. There's no point sitting back and having a game of chess here. It's about, you know, going and dominate your opponent. And like Andy Robertson said, being on the front foot, putting them under pressure. And that's why I think Dykes will play tonight, because if, like you say, Robertson and Palmer can get in good position, put crosses in the box and put their defence under pressure, they've got a goalkeeper that can throw one in now and then. So it's no, I think it's important that we play to our strengths, and our strength is energy, and we can get after them. So I'm looking forward to a good performance from Scotland tonight. And listen, the Israelis they're no mugs. They're a decent side. They've got some good technical players. Like Tam said, the striker's gone for a few quid. But if we impose ourselves in the game, then and we're tight at the back, that's the only worry for us is who plays with Tierney. If you end up with Cooper, it's two left footers playing centre back. So it's a bit of a worry. But I think if we apply ourselves and we do the things right and we do our job properly, we should win 2-0 comfortable.
2-0 comfortable, that's your prediction. Stuart Ramsey goes 2-1 Scotland. Tam, is that fair on Ophir Marciano? He's a great shot stopper, but he could drop a howler.
I think it's a bit harsh. for Roughie. I think every goalkeeper's going to make a mistake, now and again. I think he has made mistakes, but they've been few and far between over the last few years. I'm sure if you ask a lot of Hib supporters who are there week in, week out, his mistakes have been few and far between. He's not lost a goal from open play this season for Hibs. So he's been very, very good. He's been solid. Couple of penalty kicks, he's lost, but I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think he's very good. So I think if he plays tonight, it'll be tough to get the ball past him.
Yeah, he has been impressive for Hibs so far this season. Charlie, you were 2-0, is that right? 2-0 Scotland?
Yeah, 2-0, yeah.
Right, boys, the other two of you, what do you reckon?
I'm going to go 4. I'm going to go 4-0 since he's talked up that goalie.
4-0.
He's going
Marciano's thrown it in.
Isn't he?
He'll be
I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going 2-0 as well.
2-0 as well. Right, Tam?
I'm going to go 1-0 to Scotland.
1-0. Okay. We've got Stephen Martin 2-0, Dykes and Christie. That would be a fantastic story if Dykes could get on the score sheet. In Peter's absence, I'll be making his predictions. I'm going to go 3-1. A few goals. That'd be nice to see this evening, wouldn't it?
Gabs.
So yeah. Are
you in Peter's basement then? Are you all right? You're looking a bit white.
Is that what it looks like?
Peter's basement or Joseph Fritzl's basement. It's one of the two.
Oh,
I'm a bit worried. Every time I've seen him, he's wore that shirt and tie.
You're at it. That's because you're in on Fridays. It's my Friday shirt and tie.
Shut up, man. You can't mix it up. It looked like that horrendous purple thing you had on as well the other day, that jacket.
I was getting stick for that, right? That's a North Face jacket, okay? Nice enough jacket.
The colour was horrific.
Colour was horrific. And then the other day, people were saying, oh, what's this trendy jacket? And then the other day, I had a big blue jacket on, and people said I looked 50 years old. I just can't find it in between.
Take your shirt off and let's see how casual you look. Take
my
tie
shirt off.
Tie.
Take the tie off. Take the tie off.
Take the tie off. Just casual look.
Tie off. Casual.
Italian look.
Right,
Give us a little Italian look. Bring the shirt button down a little bit.
Yeah.
3 buttons.
James Richardson.
Italian
Let's
look.
see.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. There we go. There we go. No. Take the
Right.
full tie off.
No. This is as casual as you're going to get me. Some of us are still in the office, okay? Unlike you two. Right, that's enough on my attire. Let's leave the Scotland game for now.
Fix your tie.
I'll fix my tie. You joking? Right. This is me.
No,
That's better.
That's enough of it.
You look $1 million.
There we go. Sean Grogan. Gabs is back in the 70s. Thanks for that, Sean. Right. Let's have a quick look at last night's results as well. There was 10 games across Europe as the Nations League began for its second campaign. We can see some of the results headlined by the top of the table Germans and Spanish. 1-1 they played out, as well as 2 of the home nations. Let's talk about those. Ireland began with a 1-1 draw away to Bulgaria. New Celtic signing, Shane Duffy, was the captain. He was captaining Ireland, and he also scored a 93rd minute equaliser. I don't know if any of you saw the game. If you did, what did you make of Duffy? He said himself that it wasn't the best game. He actually thought he was culpable for the first goal, and thankfully he made up for it. Tam, what did you make of him?
Yeah, he looked off the pace, but I think it's understandable. Gabs, I don't think he's played a game in 3 or 4 months. You know, he was out the Brighton team towards the end of the season. He hadn't been playing, so it's his first 90 minutes in a long time, and he looked off the pace. I think he was at fault for the goal. The two centre backs where it was a lovely little through ball through from a Bulgarian. And I think it was number Nechikov. He played it through, and the striker was too much space in between the two centre halves, and he tucked it away well. But you know, Duffy came up the last minute of the game, and that's what you're going to get from Shane Duffy. And Charlie's seen a lot of them down south. Very much a threat in both boxes. Great delivery into the box. He could have scored a couple actually. He goes and attacks everything. He's 6'4", and superb header to get Ireland a point and get them out of jail. But I thought Ireland played pretty well and certainly worthy of a point anyway.
We can actually hear it from the Ireland captain and new Celtic man right now.
Yeah, it was nice to get it, but I'd rather play better, to be honest. But yeah, it was nice to fancy myself every game. If the delivery is right, and I had a few chances tonight. But I know Braids is, when it came on, I know I'm going to get a chance with him, and he's got a wonderful left foot, and we've grew up playing to each other, and he knows where I like it, and he stuck it on my head, and I'll put it on.
Yeah, Charlie, I'm sure you've seen plenty of Duffy down south. He is very strong in the air, isn't he? That'll be such a presence he'll bring to the back line.
He is. He'll definitely feel the benefits of that 90 minutes, and Celtic will, when he comes back from an international break. Like I said, Tam said, I watched the game, and Fit Ireland did well enough in the game. Bulgaria had a couple of chances, but never really threatened. And then it was a lovely goal. Getting in between the two centre backs that were too far apart. But where Duffy is, he's dangerous in both boxes. He's a threat, and I said before, I think it's a good signing from Celtic. It's an honest and sensible signing at the back, and he'll definitely feel the benefits from getting that 90 minutes for next week coming back to Celtic.
Paul Baird says Duffy the man. No guesses for which team Paul supports. Roughie, where do you think Ireland compare with Scotland? I mean, would you fancy Ireland to beat Scotland in a one-off game? Would you fancy Scotland to go over to Bulgaria and draw 1-1?
It's a tough one. I think Republic of Ireland over the years have become very oppressive international football. We always have a debate on the show that majority of their players are playing Premiership or Championship down in England, which is an advantage over a lot of our players. But certainly they can't complain with the run they've had. They've been absolutely superb, to tell you the truth, and the evidence is there with them qualifying. So no, we have to. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're just sort of getting there, and the only way we're going to get to where they've been is if we start winning games. And I do believe we've got the players that can match them, because most of our players now are also playing down in England, whether it's Championship or Premiership. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be up there with them.
Gabs.
Yeah, it's what have you got to say? It's your old manager, isn't it, Stephen Kenny?
Yeah, it was Stephen. Stephen Kenny was obviously the new manager. I know he signed me twice for Derry and for Dunfermline. And I was looking at the Ireland team last night, and for me, Shane Duffy and the right back Doherty are the only two players that would get in your team. I don't know what the guys think. We're needing a right back and a centre back. But apart from that, I think the Scotland squad and players man for man is far superior to that Ireland squad. And as Roughie said, it just shows you how well Ireland have done, to get qualifying for major tournaments, and we haven't. So I think we've got to find a system and a spirit that Ireland have got that we don't have, to be honest.
I totally agree with you, Tam. I think we've got some good players in the team. Centre back and right backs are worry, but I think that I obviously not been in the squads, and I think the worry for me over the years that has been is the team spirit. I think that we need a group that are together. The Irish lads love going away, and they have a good team spirit. They have good team building together. So I think if Scotland can find that solution, then we've definitely got a great opportunity to get into the Championship soon. It's just we've got better players in Ireland. It's just finding that that little bit of rubber of the green and that good team spirit and build amongst us, and hopefully that can get us over the line.
Yeah, I don't think there is any doubt that Scotland's players, especially midfielders, left back as well, are of a higher standard than what Ireland have got to choose from. But that's interesting you say that there, Charlie. You think they're their team togetherness is better than Scotland's, and you could probably say the same for Northern Ireland when they were under Michael O'Neill, and Wales as well.
I'm only going from when I was in the squads, and that was a few years ago. But I don't know what it's like now. Steve might have changed it, and it got, it might be a little bit different now. But I know with the lads at Ireland, and they go away and they have a good time together. They relax, and it's just there's no egos. I'm not saying there's egos in the Scotland group. I just think that some lads keep themselves to themselves, but in the Ireland group, it seems to be that everybody's together. They've got a core group every game, but they still have 17, 18 of the same players all the time, wanting to turn up, willing to turn up, and there's little sprinkles of difference. Over the past few years, I think we've had one or two that we just want to pull out, or they go a different way. And Steve's obviously now trying to get a group where you can get a regular 17, 18, 20 players, and then a handful of maybe younger ones coming through, and you can pick and choose and bring that. And if we can get that together and we get a settled team, then I think we've got a right good chance.
Tam, do you think that we're starting to get that with Scotland? Obviously they would say it, but whenever we get to speak to any of the players, the management team, they say that everyone's positive, they're really getting on. Do you think that core group's starting to come with the likes of McGinn, McGregor, Robertson, obviously Tierney back in for the first time in a while? Do you think we're getting there?
I hope so. Listen, I wasn't fortunate enough to play at international level, but I played at under 21 level, and you've always get guys who I loved playing for Scotland under 21s or the B caps or whatever. Wherever I was there, I loved it. It was the same group of players as Charlie said, and we loved it. We all got on well together. We would all run an extra, do an extra run for somebody, cover for somebody, and that's the difference between, and that's maybe the difference between Scotland and Ireland. Scotland having that togetherness, having that group that wants to turn up for their country and gives absolutely everything, even if they turn up injured, still want to be there. And I just don't. I hope we are going down that road, Gabs. Because that's what we need. We need everyone pulling together, and that's why I think the Tartan Army and certain people were disappointed when Ollie McBurney obviously pulled out. Listen, it was no fault of the boy, but Scotland fans are wanting people to turn up and they don't like it when guys pull out the squads. They don't like it, and we have to get a core group that's going to want to turn up every single game and give everything for the country. And once we get that, I think we'll qualify again.
Yeah, Andrew Davidson, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Sorry, Roughie. Let's hear what you've got to say.
No, Charlie's hit it on the head. It's a core squad, and you only get a core squad when you're successful. If you're qualifying for tournaments, everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to be part of it. We haven't been anywhere, so you can feel the apathy that some of the players, well, maybe just stay with my club and that's what I should be. But if you're winning things and you're on a run and you've got a chance to get to big World Cups or Championship, European Championship, then you'll find players rushing up the road when there's an international game on, because it doesn't matter who you are. Playing international football gets you good clubs. People watch international football and it can be a stepping stone from where you are. So if you're in a successful team, I think you'll find a lot of, and we have got a lot of young boys just now. I think they all will be bursting a gut when an international game comes round to be first in the hotel, rather than making excuses that, oh, I'm injured or I'm this or I'm that. I think you'll find if we start winning games, they'll be busting a gut to get into the squad.
Was that the case back in the 70s and 80s, Roughie, when you were in the squad qualifying for World Cup?
Busting a gut to get to the hotel.
The bar. Night, for the bonding. It's a bonding, it is. It's called bonding. I remember Archie Gemmill and John Robertson when they were at Notts Forest, if they were down in London playing Arsenal or Spurs or whoever. All they talked about after the game was getting up to Glasgow and meeting all the guys in the hotel. They'd travel up, have a good bit of banter on the plane, and then meet up on a Sunday night. And that's what it was. As Charlie said, it's a core group. It's the same group. It's the same 22. Every international that comes up, all right, one or two maybe will come in. But when you've got a core of top-class players meeting up and enjoying the scenario of... Because it's no fun sitting about hotels. It gets pretty boring. And unless you've got a core of guys who are really into each other, then you have a happy atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. We've got plenty of people agreeing with all three of you. Andrew Davidson, I couldn't agree more with what Charlie said. Stuart Carruthers, quite right. Charlie, you can't just have people turning up for the glamour ties. It's all about togetherness. Okay, so I think we've hit the nail on the head there. Let's quickly talk about Wales as well. They won 1-0 away in Finland. Another impressive result for Ryan Giggs' men. They're unbeaten in 7 now. Gareth Bale withdrawn at half-time. I think what's quite interesting about Wales is that they've also gone through a regeneration almost from under Chris Coleman to Ryan Giggs now. But they play with Kiefer Moore up top, who he scored last night, incidentally, scored the last few games. But he's not necessarily a goal-scoring forward. He's played in the lower leagues. But he sacrifices himself for the team, for the other players, for the midfielders, the Bales, the Ramseys, the Dan Jameses, that are going to try and score. Is that something that we should be trying to do with our striker? Perhaps Lyndon Dykes?
I think that Wales have never actually had that proper number 9. Volk's he scored a few goals. Church scored the odd goal for Wales in that. But when you've got superstars like, Gareth Bale and, Aaron Ramsey, that makes a difference to your team. So you obviously have to forsake one of the players or whatever. But, that Kiefer Moore's a good player. The more goals, the more times he plays at national level, he'll get goals. And I think that I do believe once Ollie McBurnie scores 1, I think he'll get an opportunity. He'll score regular. You look at Griffiths, score 1, goes and scores on the big stage against England. We just need somebody that's going to stay there regular. The only problem we have with Griffiths is fitness-wise. Is he there every time? Is he going to be in the squad? I think Lyndon Dykes will, definitely get an opportunity tonight to then cement his Scotland squad. And he will obviously, once he gets 1, I think McBurney's the same. Once he gets 1 goal, I think then he'll go on a run hopefully, and we can have him as a focal point, and we can move on from there.
Yeah, I do think McBurney would be first choice, perhaps Griffiths, but under the current crop, I think McBurney would be Clark's first choice. Tam, Roughie, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I would think so. I think any time the boys played, he showed he's got a bit of ability. But he's just like any striker, if he's not hitting the back of the net, the pressure mounts, and the fans put a wee bit of pressure on you. But any time I've seen him down in England, I think he's been impressive. So it might be the case. He maybe just needs a partner, maybe somebody to feed off him, and he feeds off them. And that's something we've not had for a long while because we've been chopping and changing for the last 2 or 3 years. Now we're getting near a settled midfield, nearly a settled defence, and we just need 2 people up front. And it might be Dykes and him, if we can get the right formation, particularly at home. I know away from home it's different, but at home I agree with Charlie. We should be going gung-ho. We should have wide players getting into outside the 18-yard box, firing balls across the goal, having plenty of midfielders getting in there with the striker. And that's when I think we'll get success, because I think the boys that are in the midfield are more than happy to get in there, the McGinns, the Christies and McGregors. So, yeah, I think we're just on the cusp of something, but we need to start winning.
Yeah, need to start winning. Going gun-ho, I agree with the Perry there. I know that Tam doesn't. He wants to play about 6 defenders, so I'm going to leave that one there. Let's move on. Just quickly have a word on Germany-Spain. 1-1 between 2 of the European superpowers. Goals from new Chelsea signing Timo Werner and then Jose Gaya right at the end. Tam, I'll let you have a word on this. How do you rate these 2 sides? Again, teams that are kind of developing, got a lot of young talent coming in. Could they be favourites for next summer's Euros?
Yeah, it's obviously 2 traditional countries that are always very strong, Gabs. Spain are obviously a little bit of transition for the Xavi and Iniesta and the real success they had maybe 6 to 8 years ago. They're bringing younger players through, and the Germans are always very strong. And Timo Werner, obviously a striker as well in there. So, yeah, I think alongside probably Belgium and France, that's your top 4 going into the championships next season. And I think the winner will come from those 4 teams without a doubt.
Una Brennan says, Roughie for Scotland manager. Una, I think that'd be good for a night out, but not much else. Roughie, you fancy it, Scotland manager?
Training in Vicky's.
Salary's right, I'll go anywhere.
Aye, if the money's right, Roughie's a mercenary.
Yeah. Too right, Roughie. Okay, and the Nations League does continue this evening. Obviously, Scotland are playing at home against Israel. There are 7 other games across the continent. We can have a look at all of them now. We include Italy. They're playing Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the Netherlands take on Poland. Just want to get your thoughts on the Dutch match there. They're managerless, of course, after Ronald Koeman moved to Barcelona. I believe it's Dwight Lodevegas. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I hope it is. He's in charge. But there again, a young team. It seems to be the trend at the moment across Europe. Young teams developing. They're playing Poland, who've got Robert Lewandowski. Charlie, Robert Lewandowski, what have you made of him over the last few months?
He's been incredible, hasn't he? I think he scored 55 goals this year, and he's been phenomenal. Obviously, won the Champions League at the end of the season. But if there was a Ballon d'Or, and I think everybody's trying to get one, I think he might win it. He's been phenomenal for Bayern for a number of years, but to win the Champions League, top it off, he's been phenomenal for them. They obviously, Poland are a good side. The Dutch will always produce footballers. And when they went through that spell where they never qualified for a couple of competitions, they're now starting to find the players, and they'll be a force again from now to the next couple of years because of the players that they keep producing and coming over to England for big transfer fees and all around Europe.
Tam, how highly do you rate Lewandowski? Would you have him as the best player in the world right now, or is it still that little Argentinian?
Yeah, I think arguably has been the best player in the world this year. I think his goals tell you that. The success he's had with Bayern, they won everything this season, won the Champions League. I think he's been underrated, for a number of years. I mean, obviously maybe not in Germany, but outside it, you always talk about number 9s, and he's never really mentioned as the top number 9. But I think this season he's really, really shown that he is the best number 9 in the world, without a doubt. So, I think I agree with Charlie. If there was a Ballon d'Or this season, he's a sure, and he's surely got to win that after the season he's had.
Yeah, he was absolutely sensational for Bayern Munich in the Champions League all-campaign. Another game this evening is Romania versus Northern Ireland. Ian Barclough's first game in charge. Roughie, what have you made of Northern Ireland over the last kind of 4, 5, 6 years?
Well, Northern Ireland are the same as the Republic. They have a core of players who are not big-name players, but as we've already discussed, when they meet up, they have a bond. They all go out and fight for each other. They've had reasonable results, particularly away from home. Things that we haven't done. So again, that's just all about a group, who are all fighting for each other, and I don't think we're very far away from that. But it's always a start when you've not got any big names in your team. And certainly they all graft for each other, and on the odd occasion they get a result that everybody takes notice of. You go, how did that happen? But no, all credit to them. They've done particularly well.
Barclough will be hoping to continue O'Neill's good work. Charlie, I know you want Scotland to go gun-ho, but I think that Northern Ireland quite often do is pack their team with defenders, and you hardly ever see them get beat by the likes of Germany or Spain 5 or 6-0. It's usually 1-0 or something like that. Is that something that Steve Clarke can look to? We know that they were so solid when he was the Kilmarnock manager. Sorry, he could compact teams really tight.
I understand that,
with Scotland yet, though.
No, but I think we've got to have a bit of confidence in ourselves. We're playing Israel. We're not playing Spain. We're not playing Germany. We're not playing, one of the top nations. Yeah, Israel, they're a good side. But if we can go and get after them, and put pressure on them, make them make mistakes, then I think as a nation we need to start believing in ourselves a little bit more, and thinking, do you know what, we're going on this pitch with a bit of swagger. We got players that have won the Champions League. We got players that have won the Premier League in the last 2-3 months. Tierney playing at the top level at Arsenal, McGinn been unbelievable, been linked with Man United and top clubs. So I think we need to start having a bit of arrogance about ourselves in a good way, and a confidence that, do you know what, we're playing Israel, but if they're in our way, let's move them out of the way. We've got good players. We can steamroll them, move forward to the next game. I think Ireland a little bit different. Yeah, they've got some good players, and Johnny Evans is the best player, but Steve Davis is there as well. So, Michael obviously sets them up differently, but I think we're at home against Israel. I don't want to say going gung-ho and everybody goes forward. I just mean that we have to be on the front foot and attack, and play with freedom and enjoyment, and put pressure on Israel.
Yeah, I think we all agree with you there. Unfortunately, we won't get to watch any of the other games because I'm sure we'll all be watching Scotland at 7:45. So we'll talk about them on Monday's show, all of the results across Europe. We're going to have to move on because there's still plenty to talk about. A few transfers happening across Scotland. We're going to start with Aaron Hickey, 18-year-old left back from Hearts. He's been sought after from clubs all across Europe, none other than European champions Bayern Munich, who even invited him to their Sabener Strasse training ground in Germany. But it appears that he is about to move to Bologna. Now, the deal is going to be an initial loan with an option to buy for around £1.8 million. Now, Tam, what do you think about this? I mean, I admit I was quite perplexed almost, if I'm allowed to use that word, when I heard Bologna, of all clubs, are going to sign a player from Hearts.
I'm more perplexed that they're not getting a transfer fee up front. I mean, if that's obviously what you're saying, they're signing them in a loan deal with a view to buying them. I mean, I don't see where that benefits Hearts, to be honest. Hearts would surely rather just have the player for a year, unless they're paying a big loan fee. I mean, I'm not obviously inside the deal, but you know, I would have thought Hearts would have wanted the million and a half up front to strengthen their squad. You know, they've obviously took a battering, getting relegated and losing a lot of money and with court cases and stuff like that. So I don't know who's advising young Aaron Hickey. He must just get a good feel from Bologna rather than other clubs. He's probably got more chance of bringing into their first team than Bayern Munich. But the fact that it's a loan deal with a view to signing them at the end of the season, and I don't understand that from a Hearts point of view. I don't think that's good business for Hearts.
Roughie, can you give us any insight? Obviously, you've been on boards at Partick Thistle. What could be the benefit there for Hearts getting the money in a year's time?
I haven't a clue.
There we go. Insightful as ever. Thanks for that, Roughie.
I'm like Tam. I'm like Tam. We don't know the ins and outs. We saw the Shane Duffy scenario. You know, that Celtic are prepared to put out £2 million in a loan deal. You know, so there's lots of things going behind the scenes. There'll be add-on clauses, and there'll be this and there'll be that, and everything that goes along. I'm sure Hearts will be getting some kind of lump sum, but it is a strange one. You know, you let him go there for a year. What happens if he doesn't impress? What happens if they don't think they've got the player they thought and they were going to pay 1.8 million for, and they say, no, I'm terribly sorry, but you can have them back. So I'm sure there'll be clauses. There'll be stuff in the contract that we don't know about, and it has to be to Hearts' advantage. So we'll have to wait and see in that one.
Charlie, do you think it's the right call to go to Bologna? The understanding is that he will be in the first team, but he will be backup left back, whereas at Bayern Munich he would have been in the academy side, the under-20s or under-21s. And Celtic were, of course, interested as well, but he wouldn't have been first choice there. Do you think it is the right move and you know, going abroad, learning a new language, new culture?
Bad move, bad advisement from an agent. Why would you want to go and be number 2 at Bologna in Italy, mid-table team, when you could either keep playing in Scotland, enhance your reputation, get another 30 games under your belt, and then move next summer for maybe a couple of £1 million? I just don't see what reason Hearts would allow this to happen, unless they are guaranteed they're getting £1.8 million or £1.5 million at the end of next season. I just think it's a bad move for the kid, and I think that, you know, he could have, if you're talking about an opportunity to go and play, even if it was in Bayern's B team, the standard he would have got, you know, playing regular in Bayern's B team in the second division Bundesliga, it would have been much better for him than sat as a backup in Bologna in Italy. So I don't know who's advising him, but for me, I don't think it's the right move. And you know, Hearts must be getting a big fee, but I wouldn't think it'd be a massive fee that, you know, it's going to change Hearts' way of going into the transfer market. You know, maybe 150 grand, 200 grand loan fee or whatever, but I just think it's a bad move for the kid. I might be wrong, and I hope I am wrong, but somebody should advise him to go somewhere else to play. You know, he's getting an opportunity at Hearts where he can still play in the Championship, get him back up and get promotion, and that will look better for his CV.
Yeah, I do think it's a strange one. Nothing's official yet, so he could still stay or move elsewhere. But that is, as we know it, Bologna is Hickey's destination. Okay, Tom Rogic's move to Qatar, £4 million been touted for a week or two now. Apparently it's on the verge of collapse. The Australian midfielder is having second thoughts about moving to a so-called lesser division. What do you think there, Tam? He's obviously not in Neil Lennon's plans. We spoke to him a week or so ago. He said that it would be best if an agreement could come best for the player and for Celtic, get £3-4 million in. Do you think it's right to not go to Qatar? Perhaps wait for a move down south or somewhere else?
Listen, it's up to the player. I mean, obviously, if you're going to Qatar at his age, you're going for one thing. You're going to fill your pockets. You're going for money. They pay a lot of money over there. I think Rogic is 27, 28 years old, so maybe he's thinking to himself that he's maybe a bit early to be going to a kind of retirement home, so to speak, and getting a lot of money over there. And you say that the deal had collapsed. I thought they'd maybe failed a medical. Maybe they'd asked him to play 90 minutes or something, and he'd in a bounce game, and he'd failed the medical because he's not the fittest, is he? No, but listen, I don't know. It's up to him. Maybe he thinks to himself, or he's got a wee sniff of going down to England, maybe a bottom-end Premiership or maybe a Championship team in England. So maybe there's somebody interested in him, and that's why the deal's collapsed. But if he's going for money, if he's going for one thing, then he'd been Qatar just now.
Mm-hmm. There's no doubt Tom Rogic is a fantastic player when he is fit and fully firing, so hopefully he comes to a resolution somehow or other. Elsewhere, Simon Murray has joined Queen's Park. The former Hibernian forward has signed for Ray McKinnon's team. Ray McKinnon himself said it was
money.
Premiership level signing. Yeah, what do you think about that? They've got plenty now, don't they?
Oh, there's one for you, Charlie. You get me there and you're all Dundee.
Are they throwing some money around, are they?
Oh, so they're full time. They're full time, isn't they, Roughie?
They're full time. The stadium.
Willie Hockey's bankrolling that.
Willie Hockey. Sir Willie Hockey.
Sir Willie, sorry.
Sir
it's great to see, isn't it?
I think it's good to see as well. Clubs with ambition,
Queen's Park. Not just ambition, but a club like Queen's Park, who have been amateur other days, playing at the National Stadium, now getting an opportunity to go full time, progress, and it's great to see. The more full time clubs we have, the better.
100%, and they'll be right up there with the favourites for League Two now, along with Edinburgh City, who finished second last season. So that'll be an interesting race to see. I think you mentioned it there, Tam. Charlie, can you give us any update on your personal situation? Dundee, your hometown club, anything there?
No, just the same as what I was all day. We're still in discussions. They not progressed from the other day. We still discuss. My agent's talking with John Nelms, every day, and we'll see where it goes and what that when if something gets over the line, then everybody will know about it. But it's nothing's getting closer. It's just we're talking and we're trying to find a way and a solution to do a deal.
You're looking forward to getting back onto the training pitch, back on the football pitch eventually?
Yeah, well, I am training on my own, which is tough, but I want to get playing and getting amongst a group of lads and getting in a dressing room. It's something that you missed in the day to day. Dropped the kids off at school last week, so it's this last week, so it's not great. So it'd be nice to get back into working and get working again.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll tell us first when anything does happen. Okay, we've only got 5 or 10 minutes left, so we're going to have a quick run over some other stories. Kai Havertz, the Bayer Leverkusen player, is on the verge of completing his move to Chelsea. He's in London now. He's left the German camp after last night's game. He won't be coming back for the second match on Sunday, and that is a £90 million move if all of the add-ins are included. I think it's 62 to begin with, up to £90 million. We all saw him play for Bayer Leverkusen against Rangers and also in the Bundesliga when it came back from the lockdown. Fantastic player, Tam. I don't know about you, but I just think he's such a good watch.
Oh, he's a terrific player. I mean, I didn't really see a lot of him until Rangers played Leverkusen at Ibrox. Leverkusen won the game 3-1, and you could see he was a bit of a Rolls Royce of a player. Plays in behind the striker. Can play anywhere across the front, and terrific player, young. Improving, hungry, and looking at Chelsea's team, they're going to have a really, really good team next season, and for the seasons to come, because they're signing younger guys. They've got a lot of younger players. Frank Lampard's certainly not afraid to put in guys like Mason Mount and Billy Gilmore, and and you know, the Abrahams. So I think they're building a really, really strong squad at Chelsea. You know, in the Premiership, you know, this coming season, you know, it's going to be tremendous. Arsenal look as if they've got a bit about them as well just now, and Man United are strengthening. So I don't think it's going to be quite a two-horse race between Man City and Liverpool. I think there'll be certainly other clubs down there be competing for the title.
Yeah, let's have a look at Chelsea's possible lineup for next season with the inclusion of Kai Havertz. Obviously still got Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal. 2 new centre-halves, a problem for them last campaign. And then look at that front four. Charlie, with that team, how far can they go? We know the top two are miles ahead of everyone else. But with that team, how close can they get?
No, I think I believe that I think Kante will leave. I do believe that Kante will go and they will bring somebody else in to replace Kante. But yeah, it's a strong team. You know, good young players. Chilwell, good Premier League experience. James now coming back. Ziyech, Havertz, Pulisic, going to cause problems, score goals. And Werner, I think, is a top player, top number 9. And you know, they still got Giroud, they still got Abraham. So it's no, that looks a good team. Silva, I think, is a big signing. I think he'd be important for them. A leader, you know, a good experience, even though he's 36. You know, he's going to be a stalwart at the back there. They also look like they want to try and get a new goalkeeper as well. So if they can get that in, Chelsea have done some business. They've done it early, and Frank and Jody they'll be excited for next season, because I don't think they'll definitely be closer than what they were. But I still think the front two are still ahead of them.
Yeah, let's have a quick talk about the front two after the Lionel Messi transfer saga took another turn today. Now, his father, who's of course acting as his agent, claimed that the so-called €700 million buyout clause that Barcelona have isn't active. They don't believe that that's the case. Now, La Liga have since, in the last few hours, responded, saying that it is. So, at the moment, it's probably looking more than it has in the last week or so that he will stay at Barcelona. But Manchester City are very keen on signing him. They don't want to pay too much of a transfer fee. And when we were speaking to Andy Robertson yesterday, he was asked how it would be to come up against Lionel Messi every week in the Premier League. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I've considered it. I hope it doesn't happen, of course. You know, from a complete selfish point of view, I hope it doesn't happen. You know, hopefully he stays at Barca. But look, he's one of, if not the best player to ever play the game. So for him to go to one of your nearest rivals is probably never a good sign. So look, he's a fantastic player. I've got no doubt if he came to the Premier League, he'd bring the exact same quality and same you know, passion and everything he brings at Barca.
Could you do it on a cold Monday night at Stoke?
Oh, I've heard it. Oh, Charlie, you tell us. What's a cold Monday like at Stoke?
Could he, Charlie?
No, he's not going to play against Stoke, is he? The Championship. Listen, the lad could play anywhere he wants. I said in the show earlier, I think that if he wanted, whatever club he wants to go to, he can go to. I just think they need to find a solution how they're going to do the deal. I believe that. I think that this is still down to what they're happening with the president. They've obviously stories coming out now today about the president and Twitter and making fake Instagrams and Twitter accounts to slag Messi and Xavi off. So this is going to rumble on in courts, and I think this Messi deal will end up in a court, and it's going to get messy.
Oh, no good one. It's going to get messy, eh? Genius. Been thinking about that all day. Roughie, what do you think that would do to the Premier League if Lionel Messi was to go there?
I think it'd be fantastic if you've got a season ticket and any other club. If he goes to Man City, if you've got a season ticket, any other club, you'll be desperate to see him. You'll be running along to your stadium when he comes up against you. He'll just light up the whole place. It'll be fantastic, and for us as well, because we've got a chance to see him close up as well. But I just think it'll be a wonderful thing. And Barcelona are no different from any other club. They've got to make a decision. What happens if he says, well, I'll just sit out for another year, and you get nothing? You know, and these are things they'll have to think about, because it's an awful lot of money to just not get in. Exactly, you know, and he's already saying he's not coming to training. So,
but
disgruntled player, you know, you have to come to some agreement.
Yeah, they might come to an agreement, but the thing is, they don't like the president that's in at the moment, Bartomeu. There's a new election coming in March, and you know, I think it will change. You know, I think this is Messi's way of saying, listen, it's either me or the president goes. And if the president goes, this Bartomeu, Messi will stay at Barcelona, and the new president will come in, and everything will be rosy in the garden, and you know he'll probably go and score another 50, 60 goals next season. But he's lost his mate supposedly as well, and Suarez is going to Juventus.
Do you think all these stories, Charlie, about him and Koeman were just maybe blown out of proportion? You know, Koeman's supposed to have pulled him aside and gave him his own views on how it's going to go, and we're just reading in the newspapers. I'm saying he wasn't too happy about that. You know, but again, you don't know whether that's true or not.
You don't, but if it is true, then I still think there's always going to be one winner that Messi can turn that club upside down and, you know, can get rid of the manager if he wants to get rid of the manager. I don't think I don't know him, obviously, that, but I wouldn't think he'd be that type of person. But if Koeman come in with that blasé attitude, then, you know, Koeman won't last long there. You know, he has to get Messi on his side. He has to build the team around Messi. And I do believe that Barcelona have to change the players. I do believe that, you know, they've got older generation. They need to get some young blood in there and build for the future. But Messi's definitely got to be part of it because he's the best player that's ever played.
Yeah, we'll have to wait to see what happens with Messi. I think it is heading for the courtroom, as you say, Charlie. We'll wait to see for that one. But that's all we've got time for on the football show today. Thank you so much to everyone at home for joining us, sending in your predictions, any questions. It's been a joy. Thank you very much to the three of you for having me. Got a bit of stick for my attire and for the old Gavin situation. But hey, I've enjoyed it, and I hope you've not missed Peter.
You've done well.
Too
Well done,
much.
Gabs.
No, you've done
Thank you, Mr.
particularly well.
I hope you get out of that dungeon at some point this weekend.
Yeah, I hope so as well. We try and
Hopefully it's not Roughie's dungeon.
Somehow. I think that looks a little bit different to this one, Tam. I know. Okay, anyway, thank you, the three of you, for joining us. And don't forget, Scotland-Israel, 7:45 kickoff. Don't forget to join us on the football show next week, where we'll be discussing all of that. And also, we'll bring you the latest after the game, the reaction from Steve Clarke after the match. So thank you very much. And once again, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit Arnold.